All right, YouTube, time to talk about Trump's apparent choice for Secretary of State. Now, I haven't actually seen direct confirmation of this, but word around the street, and I don't know how much we can trust word around the street at this point, especially when the legacy media takes it seriously. Maybe we should wait until InfoWars confirms or someplace with higher accuracy than CNN. Rex Tillerson, former CEO of ExxonMobil, apparently has been billed as the top runner for Secretary of State now. Better than Bolton. Now, I heard Bolton might be there for undersecretary. I wouldn't be too happy about that. I don't think John Bolton should be allowed in any position. I wouldn't appoint him to head janitor of the White House. I wouldn't appoint him to head dog catcher of D.C. because he's toxic. He poisons everything he touches. Giuliani would have been mediocre, tolerable, and that's about where I'd put Rex Tillerson, without knowing everything about his character, while understanding he is connected to ExxonMobil, sort of the Cheneyite oil barons. He's not really a neocon. Some of the arguments he's made, for instance, he's for Common Core, or at least he used to be. I think that's a mistake, but at the same time, his views on other issues, for instance, he's not some sort of evangelocon warrior against gay rights. That's actually more important than you'd think, because that wedge issue died long ago. He's in favor of deregulating business and the energy industry, reforming the tax code. That's all good stuff. Those are good ideas that the Republicans have had. The funny thing is, I'll just say this. Trump is the first exception to this, but for a long time, the Republicans have been the agent of their own misfortune by taking the least popular positions they can possibly take on issues, forcing them to the forefront, making them the main platforms of their campaign, while putting the good ideas that they've had that are generally popular, like, yeah, we should lower taxes a little bit. Yeah, government's regulating things too much, putting them on the back burner where they can barely be seen or smelled. And then people look at them, and all they see is a bunch of evangelicals rambling about how gays are going to cause earthquakes, or people that are fixated on abortion, or people that really, really want to go bomb people in the third world. Now, the Democrats bomb people in the third world too. It's just they're more quiet about it. Obama doesn't come out dressed like a cowboy, land on an aircraft carrier and say mission accomplished when he kills 20, 30,000 people with drones. Civilians with drones, that is, like Bush would have done. He's more tactful about committing genocide against foreign populations. That's why he gets a pass on these things. Just as many people have died under Obama, as many civilians as ever died under Bush, but you'd never know that because the media is not going to press the issue. His fans aren't going to press the issue. He doesn't have a reputation as a warmonger. Oh, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He can't possibly kill all these people. Well, yeah, he is. The problem is 75% of those targets are civilians. As far as Rex Tillerson goes, he's got no political experience, which, yeah, drain the swamp, I guess. That's a good thing. He's sort of in bed with the Bushite mentality. But I think more importantly, we can't assume. This is the same with the Goldman Sachs duties billing for Secretary of the Treasury. I will say this. This is an important point. I wish people would understand this. Drain the swamp does not mean every person with political experience and every person associated with any business that was ever associated with somebody with political experience is inherently corrupt. You have to assume, if you assume that Trump is a maverick against a system he used to be rubbing elbows in, hanging out with the Clintons, hanging out with the Bushes, donating to mainstream political campaigns, donating to Romney, donating to W, donating to Hillary Clinton, donating to all these people, probably donated to Obama at some point. If you assume that he can do that and then become a maverick with some benevolent goal in mind, if you actually believed that during the election, how is it so hard for you to believe that some of these others have also gone rogue against a system they used to participate in? Now, if you think that Trump is actually just sort of a businessman who decided to take the office, he's not really being benevolent, he's just gamed the system, and he's chuckling all the way to the bank, then, yeah, you have reason to believe Tillerson's just a carpetbagger. This other Nutchin, Munchin, whatever the fuck his name is a carpetbagger, and that other than Mattis and a few of these other people, most of the people he's loading onto his cabinet got there for monetary purposes. But if you assume that he was benevolent, if you assumed he was going to drain the swamp, make America great again, whatever buzz term you want to use, you should still be assuming that. Because you can make the assumption that Tillerson, having participated in ExxonMobil and corporatism and so forth, has seen the light, realized that there's an opportunity to make the country generally more wealthy, not just more wealthy for himself, but those around him, which means they'll consume more in the purest capitalistic sense. That's what, drives the engine of industrial progress, I suppose. And now understands that he was on the wrong side of history. You can say this about these individuals. I am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. No, I'm not happy that he's connected with ExxonMobil. But when I look at his views, I say they're at least tolerable. There would be very few people in politics who I would be completely on board with everything. In fact, I can't think of anybody, even somebody like Rand Paul, who I honestly like. I respect him as a person. I'm not on board with every idea he has. The same is true of Trump. I held off supporting Trump through most of the political process, through most of the elections. It wasn't until the very end, at which it was clear the libertarian option was kind of off the table, that I decided, I'll vote for Trump because Clinton, honestly, there's no viable third-party alternative, so I can vote lesser of two evils under such a circumstance. There had been a viable libertarian option if somebody who wasn't apparently stoned constantly had been the one making the speeches and hadn't been a total ass fuck to everybody around him, aka Gary Johnson. Yeah, maybe I would have voted libertarian instead. Fucking retard. I'm gonna harm the libertarian movement. His only claim to fame there is that he got above the threshold in enough states that don't really have to battle for getting on the ballot in most of the United States. So on that, I'll give him a tacit thumbs up on that. Other than that, though, he's made libertarianism look like a foolish ideology. I could have done better. You probably could have done better. Most of the other people running against him, in hindsight, would have done better. It's actually wrong to be in support of him. Austin Peterson would have been better. But as far as Rex Tillerson, the fact that he's connected with big oil doesn't mean he's still going to be in bed with big oil. If you assume that Trump is benevolent, you have to assume he's choosing these people for a very specific reason, and he told you this during the campaign. I'm going to load my cabinet, I'm going to surround myself with people who know how to do each job correctly. He believes Tillerson apparently is right for being Secretary of State. It might have something to do with the fact that he has business dealings around the world. So he's already been in communication with people of different cultures. Just like, why would you put Mad Dog Madison as Secretary of Defense? To absolutely terrify your enemies. There's no other purpose to it. You look at the quotes by Mad Dog Mattis, rather. Sorry. You look at what he said throughout time. Yeah, it's going to fucking terrify any state actor, at least, that would try to mess with us. So we're not going to have a problem with them because he's likely to destroy their entire nation from out of existence. You look at Tillerson. He's got business expertise. That's, I guess, an important quality for Secretary of State. And he's done business in other countries. That's probably the point. It's probably why he's choosing him, as opposed to maybe like Giuliani. Yes, Americana, New York, America's mayor, blah, 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 all these accolades and so forth he got after 9/11, partially undeservedly. He's obviously a good friend of Trump. They had some fundraising video where they were almost making out there, and Giuliani was dressed as a woman at one point. It was very, very funny. Certainly better than Bolton. I can't think of anyone less qualified to conduct diplomacy than somebody who made our nation an embarrassment throughout most of the world, even among our allies. I can't imagine Bolton's edition would have been very good with relations with France either. And can you remember when all that priceless French wine was smashed and dumped in the gutters? Even the most hardcore Americana, like America, fuck yeah, give me a hamburger sort of people, had to realize that was fucking retarded when they started calling them freedom fries and all that. Oh, come on, that's a bunch of bullshit. People can dissent without being total evildoers. Bush didn't realize it, that's why he fucking failed. So I'll give Rex Tillerson a chance. Yeah, I'm sad it's not Ron Paul, but was there ever really a chance it was going to be Ron Paul for Secretary of State? No, not really. Maybe an advisory position he could still get in. That'd be interesting. Was there ever a high chance it'd be Jim Webb? No, not really, even though he would be infinitely qualified for the job. Tillerson, at the very least, he's not Mitt Romney. That's important. He's not John Bolton, even if Bolton's going to get shoehorned in there, probably through some donor or something, let's face it. And Giuliani would have been about the same level. Mediocre to middling. Not bad, not great, but give him a chance at least. Allow him to begin this job, do what he needs to do, and we'll see from there. If he does a shitty job, people will call for his resignation. Trump, because he's an egotist and cares about his approval ratings, trust me, will can him. He'll kick him right back out. He'll say, okay, you're gone. You're not doing your job right. They'll probably pull Rudy Giuliani up on there, which should be all right. You know, he knows how to talk to people in a friendly fashion, even if he sometimes forgets how. So yeah, this as the capstone of Trump's cabinet, I'd say it's okay. Not great, but okay. And you have to understand, look at the kind of secretaries of state that we've had recently. Hillary Clinton, wasn't that a good one? John Kerry, what a wise individual. You know, his face is longer than the rest of his body combined. He looked like a boring old moose, like sort of like a Rocky and Bullwinkle look-alike years and years ago, back when he was young. He got even more grave-faced when he got older. His face looks like it was chiseled, sort of like an Easter Island statue or something like that. Similar color, too, this weird off gray. I don't know what the fuck problem he's got. Maybe it's he spent too much time in Antarctica. All the blood vessels near the surface of his skin dried up, and now he's just a block of chaff or something like that. Yeah, it's funny to make fun of the way they look, but let's think about the way they think. Tillerson, judging by his past comments, is at least tolerable. It's not intolerable like Romney or Bolton would have been. So I'll give him a chance. I don't care if he was connected with ExxonMobil. It's not evidence that Trump's becoming a neocon. H.A. Goodman, I think, pointed something like that out. I happen to disagree with that. I disagree with that assessment. I have to assume that there's a chance that Tillerson is one of these people that's gone rogue, decided, yeah, now I'm in it for a political rather than fiscal legacy, and we're going to crack through the neocons and neoliberals, try to change the way business is done. And as far as his fiscal views, I'd be all on board with that. I think it's a good idea to deregulate things. I'm not talking about, companies should be able to dump toxic waste in your river. That's not what anybody's talking about. What we're talking about is burdensome, nitpicking little regulations that pile up in our legalese books all the time, making it harder and harder for people to actually create jobs for other people who are unemployed or underemployed. Why do you think there aren't enough jobs to go around right now? It's because of regulations. Startups have to have multi-million-dollar backing in order to do anything now. Used to be, you could start a business in your garage. There aren't many of those anymore. The entrepreneurial spirit that drove the engine of American progress is dying. That's why we need to revive it. If you want an economic boom like you've never seen before, we have the internet now. It'd be even better. It'd be like the growth of the 50s or the 90s on steroids. It'd be wonderful. That's about all. Peace out.